All right, yes. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first afternoon tea. Um, the topic today is the number one mistake costing you website traffic, and Dave is going to explain what that mistake is and how to fix it fast. So, do you want to take it away, Dave?
Yeah, I'm just going to crack on. So, by the way, the whole point of afternoon tea versus those anyone that came to lunch and learn before. Lunch and learn was an hour long. The afternoon tea is 20 minutes. We just smash straight on with it. So, number one mistake costing you website traffic and how to fix it. Really, really simple. Ignoring competitor and content gap analysis. And I'm going to talk today briefly as to what that is and what you can do. We're going to do a live demo on screen in a bit as well. Where I was going to ask for an example from you guys, but it always takes me, 5, 6 minutes to really kind of get my head around a gap analysis and doing competitor analysis on a website. So I thought it's just going to waste time. So I've got an example we're going to show you in a second, but we're going to jump straight into what a competitor analysis is, why it's important, etc., etc. So, first of all, this is a common SEO pitfall, I'd say. So there are, let me see. Sorry, let's see. Here we go. There are many businesses out there, and not just businesses, but SEOs as well, that focus solely on just their own site and adding to their own site without assessing their competition. Um, they almost create content without a clear understanding of the gaps in their content versus their competition. And you might ask, well, why is this? Why is this a problem? Why is this important? Um, if you don't, let's say you're sitting at number 5 on Google for a search term that gets on average 500 searches per month. You may or may not know that, but let's just say let's set the scene, and that's the situation. How do you get from position 5 to position 3 and position 3 to position 1? If you don't know what your competition are doing, your competitors from position 1 to position 4 might have mind-blowing sites with a great backlink profile, and we'll talk about what all of that is in a second, and you don't. So how can you reasonably get there if you haven't looked at what your competitors are doing? Um, and also, you're going to have competitors that are doing exactly what we're suggesting now. They're going to have got to that position because they have capitalized on the gaps in your content. And it's a really simple kind of process to go through. So, what's the opportunity here? You create a strategic gap analysis that looks at where the gaps are between, and it's not just content, gaps in content, but where the gaps are between you and your competitor in search. So when you search on Google, where are the gaps? And I would say typically there are four things, typically four things that you want to almost focus on in terms of gaps. So when we talk about how do you fix it, you can look at four things. Number one, what's your website like from a general techie perspective? Does it work? Is it quick? What's the user experience like? Are people navigating to the website? Are they navigating off because they just can't find what they want to find? Is it easy to navigate? That's number one. That's kind of the basics of any website, and you should review that because over time things are going to slow down. Other websites are going to get better. They're going to improve. You might have security issues, for example. So it is worth reviewing that over time. But that's kind of the crux of any website. Does it actually operate well? Does it create that good user experience? And user experience is that kind of long, convoluted word that people, get a bit confused by. But it kind of says what it does on the tin. It's all about how does a user experience your website. So look at your website. How do you experience it? The second thing is the trust factor. Do you have various trust signals coming into the website? Now, they may be backlinks, but I'm going to come on to that in a second. More importantly for me, they're going to be reviews, so Google reviews, Trustpilot reviews, reviews.io. There's loads of different places that you could get reviews from. For me, the really important thing is Google reviews, but there are other review platforms that are going to kind of increase that trust factor. So how do you benchmark versus your competitors when it comes to the trust factor? How many reviews have they got? How many reviews have you got? The third thing is links. Now, this is something that scares a heck of a lot of people. And for those in the room that don't understand what backlinks are. They're essentially links from other websites to your website. There's loads of different ways of getting them. It might be through some of your clients sharing an article about you, or a case study. It might be guest blogging. It might be PR related. It might actually be directories. They don't carry anywhere near as much weight as they used to, but that might be another way. So how many links have you got coming through to your website or a particular page on your website versus your competitors? And then the fourth thing, which is pretty important, because this is almost the fundamental fix for me. It's content. It's where are your gaps in content? Your competitor may have certain pieces of content that you may not have, and it's all about understanding. It's all about understanding the gaps in that. So if you want to work out how to actually fix this stuff, if you're ranking on Google maybe number 5 and you want to get to number 3 or number 1, or maybe you're ranking number 10 and you want to get to number 5 and number 1, look at the gaps. And as I said, it's going to be things like your website, the trust factor, links, and it's going to be content. So when you're looking at areas to analyze, they're the kind of things you're looking at. I've kind of jumped ahead on this slide, so ignore this for a second. So I've kind of talked through what the issue is here and what the opportunity is off the back of that. Now, there's a number of different tools you could use to essentially analyze a competitor's website and your website. And there's going to be people in the room here who have access to things like Ahrefs. That's spelled Ahrefs, which is an SEO tool that helps you analyze your website, helps you analyze loads of other websites and everything that's on your website. There's other tools like SEMrush. Bex, do you want to? Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I was going to say, if you can write them into it. There's other tools like SEMrush, which is SEMrush. They provide tools that help you analyze your website, where your website ranks, how many links you've got coming through to your website, and also other websites and how they rank and where the gaps might be there. We get asked all the time, are there any free tools out there that can help you analyze this kind of stuff? And there are a few, but they don't do anywhere near the kind of job that these two do. And I'm going to take you through Ahrefs in a second and show you the kind of tool we use and what it allows you to analyze. And all I'd say is, yeah, you might look at something like I think there's one out there from the Hoth, which is HOTH, which allows you to kind of analyze in a certain way your website versus other websites. There we go. Thanks, Bex. And that's free, but you don't get the kind of analysis that these kind of paid for websites get. So if you're committed to this, if you work in a decent sized organization, I know there's some in the room. If you're committed to this, then just invest in a subscription for something like Ahrefs. I don't know what the cost is actually, because we're on an agency rate. But it's worth looking at. So there's tools out there that will help you do this. And when you're actually looking at this, these are the kind of things on my screen now that you want to look for. So first of all, you want to analyze your top performing pages. So what are the pages, first of all, you want to get traffic for? And if you put your URL into things like Ahrefs, it will tell you what pages are actually performing better. So where are you number 1 for your homepage and maybe your family law page, or whatever service page it might be. You want to look for content gaps, and I'll talk you through in a second how we do that. But it's gaps between your competitor content and your content. So what have they got that you're missing, or vice versa? You're also able to look for keywords they rank for that you might not currently rank for. This is a great way to identify potential keyword gaps, relatable keywords and content that you can put into your website, stuff that you might just be totally missing. You want to look at backlinks, and as I said, you want to look at the trust factor. So there's quite a few things you could look at there, but I'm going to delve into an actual website. So I've got one prepared here. Here's one I prepared earlier. If I can find it, hang on a second. Right, here we go. Can everyone see what's on my screen? Bex, if you can just say or comment.
I can see.
You can.
So
fantastic.
anyone else, lets us know if you can't see.
Right.
And then obviously when we record, we're recording this. So if anyone needs a closer glimpse at what Dave's doing on the screen, if your screen is as small as mine is, then you can, we'll be putting it up on YouTube so people can watch it. back and pause and follow along at
Thank
their
you
own
very much.
pace.
So I'm going to guide you through exactly what we do, and it's going to be really brief, quick, not as detailed as what we go through, but I found a really good example earlier that I'm going to take you through. So I found a company called AMD Solicitors. They're based in Bristol, okay, and I was looking at their conveyancing page, all about buying homes, and the legals behind it. I think there's a few solicitors in the room. And I wanted to do some analysis on this. How do we make this page better, essentially? So the first thing I did was I put this link. This is a link for the website into Ahrefs, okay? And it gives me an overview as to everything, okay? So I can see there's 19 keywords that this particular website shows up for, and I'm going to show you them in a second. And this bit here basically displays how many backlinks from other websites through to this website they've got, which helps with the kind of trust factor. I'm also going to, I've got up here as well, the, not that one. Here we've gone here. We've got a number of their Google business profiles. We can see how many reviews they've got. So I've done a deep dive into their kind of analytics. So if I just jump down here, okay. So this here shows all of the keywords that this page is showing for within reason. It's not 100% accurate. What I want to do is I want to just highlight these via position. Okay, so we know that they rank for conveyancing solicitors Bristol. It gets on average 350 searches per month because this is the average volume of traffic it gets per month, and they position their position number 6. Now, I want to work out how do we get this to number 1. And the only way to do this is to do a competitor analysis and look at, okay, what are the guys in number 1 position doing? So I can see straight away, if I click on this here, I can see who number 1 are. So number 1 is actually your local pack. So it's the Google Business one, and actually number 2 is Review Solicitors, which some of the guys in the room might have heard of. So the top solicitor, kind of legal place, is Bark and Kirby. Okay, so we can see that here. So I'm going to look as to why Bark and Kirby are positioned higher than AMD. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick analysis on their website. So I've chucked their page, the page that they're ranking for, into Google. I can see straight away they've got a better backlinking profile. So they've got 6 domains that link through to that particular page. So the first thing I'll be saying is, well, hang on this AMD website, we haven't got any links coming through to us. So we need to set up a link building campaign where we look at trying to encourage other websites to link through to that page. That will hands down improve the search presence here. So that's your backlinks done out of the way. The second thing is a trust factor. So we saw here, because it's a local search, this is going to play a part. We've got 82 positive reviews or reviews, average of 4.7 stars on Google. If I look at Bark and Kirby, 313 at 4.8. They're blowing them away in terms of Google reviews. So the second thing I'd look at is, what's their review strategy? How are they generating reviews? You know, they're going to have more than 100. They're going to have more than 83 customers that they served over the time. So do they have a strategy whereby they encourage reviews after completion, or in your case, it might be a sale or halfway through a service or whatever it might be? What's their strategy for gaining reviews? Because Bark and Kirby clearly have one. And these guys may do, but it might not be performing. So that would be the next thing I'd look at. The third thing I look at is user experience. How's a website performing? And I'm not going to go into this here because it's user experience can be a little bit subjective. It involves a little bit of kind of working around the site. But I might look at things like, well, how easy is it to get in touch with them? So their phone number and their email address are quite small at the top here. I hate an email address being the main call to action because, okay, you can click an email, but people don't necessarily have an email client open. You want a form. So you've got this get a quote thing here, which is really hidden away, blends in a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily notice that. Whereas if I look at the Bark and Kirby website, I've got ask a question up here. I've got the phone number in real bold here. So we've got some really kind of core call to actions, but I do think they could do better as well. Which brings us on to the final thing, which is the content gap, which I mentioned is one of the most important things here. So let's look at the gaps in content from AMD to Bark and Kirby two identical pages. This is ranking number 6. This is ranking essentially number 1. So if I look down AMD, so they've got this section of content here, a little bit of information as to what they do, a downloadable guide here, but it's a little bit hidden away. It's not obvious. Some links through to other pages. They've got some of their other kind of service areas here, but they're general practice areas. They're not specific to this this service. What their clients say. Now, I'd take some of this with a pinch of salt because it's on their website. It's not on Google, although it does say it's on Google there. And then some of their team. And that's pretty much it. So what I mean, I know from experience there's loads of gaps there. Now, if I have a look at Bark and Kirby, all of a sudden, just scrolling down really quickly, how much content do they have here? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's the right way to do it because we want to get quite, you're not going to get everyone reading all of that content, but they've got tons more. It goes into so much more depth. It's actually quite well structured. You've got a video here detailing what is conveyancing. You've got a quick click menu saying get an estimate. You've got relatable services. So imagine you're someone who's hit this page because you need a conveyancing solicitor, but actually you're buying a new build. You can click on that page and find out some more specific information about you. So it's really in your face. We've then got your reviews, relevant case studies, downloadable fact sheets. Scroll right to the bottom. We've got FAQs, call to action, a bit about their team, and then some relevant updates as well. So it just goes into so much detail as to what this page is all about. So I'd be looking straight away at those gaps and I'd be thinking, well, they're missing most of that. They are literally missing most of that. So what do? We create more backlinks. We look at how we can achieve that. So you might want to reach out to an agency to help you to achieve that, or do a bit of research as to how you do that. We look at improving their trust factor by looking at how they generate reviews, whether that's through Google, whether that's through another form, Trustpilot, Reviews.io. There's various ones out there, some industry specific ones as well. We look at the experience on their website. Are there improvements that can be made in terms of helping people find the content you want them to find or take action to actually get in touch? And then we look at the content gaps. What content is missing versus the people the websites that are paying higher than you? It might be case studies, FAQs, relatable pages, more in-depth content. And if you've got all of that, delve into it in a bit more depth. It might be that I know there's some people in the room with some great websites, and it might be that benchmarking it versus your competitor, you kind of think, well, I've got all of that. Well, look at the language that's being used, look at the specific content that's being used, look at the specific FAQs and delve into it in a lot more depth and you might find the answer there.
Cool.
But that's essentially it. So let's delve into my presentation. So we're running out of time here because this is supposed to be 20 minutes and I think we're how we have time, Bex? We're pretty much on time.
It's on 20 minutes now. So if anyone wants for Dave to go down in this more detail with them specifically about their website, we've got a mini content gap analysis that we can do, which will be a short video of Dave going through your actual website. And if anyone wants us to do that, please put a comment in the chat or send us a reply to the follow-up email that will go out later, just letting you know that this is available to you if anyone wants to take us up on it. Free little mini content analysis, competitor analysis.
Thanks, Bex. I mean, with that, what we'd do, it wouldn't be comprehensive, but we'd look at a couple of gaps and a couple of potential opportunities of what you can do, make some recommendations, what you can do to basically rank higher versus your competitors. But if I was looking at this, the screen that's up now, if I was looking to give you some kind of top tips on what you can physically do now, number one, run a quick competitor check. You can do that via Google. Quite simply, maybe set up a private window, or use something like Ahrefs if you've got access to it. Find out who is ranking higher and why. It's really that simple. Break it down on, I mean, content's the main thing, but trust factor, backlinks, content, the website as a whole, and then bridge that gap. It really is that simple. Find out ways to bridge that gap, and over time, it does take time. Over time, you'll find that gap will become bridged.
Woo. Thank you.
Right, our next topic And I think this was a recommendation from someone in the room. Our next topic is going to be, is it in 2 weeks, Bex?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're going to do this
The
again in 2
2nd of
weeks.
April.
Thank you. So you'll all get emails about it. Like I said, they're short 20-minute bursts of content. Sit there with a cup of tea, just taking as much as you can, and we're going to record it. It's all going to be about the AI search takeover, how to adapt and thrive. AI search is taking over. It's becoming more prevalent on Google. It is affecting searches. It is also affecting ads. So we'll talk in a bit of depth as to what you can do to counter that.
Awesome. I'll send an email out to everyone after this. So if you're interested in taking part in if you'd like a mini content gap analysis, then absolutely just reply to that email and we'll sort you out.
Cracking. Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Car.
Thanks for joining us.